Hello all you beautiful people and welcome back to another Ark Survival Ascended top 10 list. And in today's list we are going to be ranking the top 10 most useful creatures that you're ever going to tame on the island. Now a little disclaimer on this list, the way this list is going to work is it's basically going to be each creature either has some sort of unique ability or they are the best creature in a certain field. Like one is maybe like the best attacker, or it's like the strongest fighter, or one's like the best resource gatherer. So that's the way this list is going to work. So just in case there's any confusion, in case some people really disagree with some things on this list, there is a strong reason why certain creatures on the list. So if you do enjoy today's video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave comments, share the video, check the description for links to all my social media pages. I post a lot of screenshots that I do on the game, as well if you want to help the channel that little bit extra, please consider becoming a channel member. It's only $2.99 a month and it helps me greatly. So with all that said, let's just get right into the video. Kicking us off at number 10 is the Rex. So the Rex, the reason why it's on this list is because the Rex is overall the best combat fighter in the game. Like, yeah, there are creatures that can surpass it, definitely, like a Spino with the water buff, or like a Thyla with its bleed, and easily obviously like the Giga and the Karchar. But I just kind of feel like the Rex though overall is just a much better creature, as it's got great carry weight, great health, great stam, great melee, and if you get one of these dudes imprinted, they are going to absolutely destroy anything. Like the Rex is the main creature you're going to use for all the bosses bar the Broodmother, because there's a specific creature that's really good for that. But even if you do use the Rex for the Broodmother, it's still going to destroy her. Like, you're not going to have an absolute easy time, but you're still going to do it. The Rex is just such a perfect battle creature. You get Saddle at level 74, so yeah, it is much later in the game, but you could get lucky and get a Saddle from like a red or a yellow drop if you're lucky, especially since loot seems to be a lot better on the island now. And the number 9 spot is the Uranus. So this dude is in here for similar reasons for the Rex. It's not as powerful as the Rex, but it is more useful, as the Uranus has two specific special abilities. So it has two roar abilities. One roar is a fear roar, which causes smaller creatures to run away. So say you're getting swamped by a bunch of direwolves or daedons or even mammoths, use your fear roar and it will scare them away, only temporarily. It doesn't last overly long. And then its second ability is actually a buff roar, which in the wild when it uses this, it'll usually be accompanied by a group of like 3 to 4 Carnotaurus, and it'll use its buff roar. They get like a yellow circle around them, which means they're going to do more damage, and it just makes them much more of a threat. But when you've got one of these tamed, this will work on every single creature you have tamed, so you definitely want to add one of these in during a boss fight. You unlock its Saddle at level 80, so definitely, like again, like the Rex, it's farther end game, but this is still going to be one of the end kind of carnivores that you're going to want to use during your playthroughs. Number 8 goes to the Daedon. So these guys, they're pretty easy to find. They spawn in the snow biome, usually in groups, but they can be spawned like isolated. You can see the ones on their own, but usually if there's one Daedon, there's usually 4, 5, 6. There's always a lot of them. You get their Saddle at level 59. So not really late game, but yeah, you still need to be a fairly high level in order to get it, but it's very easy to get to that point in the game. Now the really good thing about the Daedon is it's Ark's only healer. This is the only creature in the game that can heal other creatures. So once you get one of these guys tamed, all you want to do is level up its health and its food. Health obviously so it can live longer and it's harder to kill, but the more food and hunger it has basically means that it can heal creatures longer. You just need to make sure its inventory is stocked up with meat, berries, stuff that it can keep eating, because when it heals other creatures it rapidly loses all of its food, and if it gets to 0 then it can't heal creatures. You also want to have at least 1 or 2 Daedons during boss fights, because as much as you might have creatures running around doing loads of damage, they are going to be taking damage, and you don't really want your boss creatures dying that easy, do you? No, you don't. So bring in a Daedon. I always bring in 2, just in case one dies, you've got a backup one. Leave them on healing, give them loads of food. They'll just run around the boss fight continuously healing your creatures. Flying in at number 7 is the Argentavis. So these guys spawn in the snow biomes as well as the redwoods, and you get their Saddle at level 62, so pretty late game, but you're definitely going to want to get a RJ because they are so useful in so many ways. One, it can pick up small creatures in its mouth. It can also pick up creatures in its talons, and yes, it can pick up creatures in its mouth and talons at the same time. Its Saddle also doubles as a smithy, so if you've got some friggin' smelted metal and all that, you've basically got a mobile blacksmith with you that can fly. And another really good thing that the RJ can do concerning two other creatures is the RJ is actually really good at helping you gather resources. So the Argentavis, if you team an Ankylosaurus, get your RJ to pick up the Anky, fly over to metal nodes, and the Anky will automatically swing at the metal and collect it and break all the metal. And the good thing with this is you could max out your Anky's weight, like the Anky can't move, it's that heavy. The weight doesn't affect your RJ. And another really good thing with the RJ is they actually have a bit of a heal ability as well. But unlike the Daedon, this only heals themselves, so when an RJ eats a corpse, it gets like rapid health regeneration, so if your RJ is really injured and there's a lot of dead bodies around, just let your freaking overgrown vulture go and eat that, and he's going to heal up really fast. On to our number 6 spot goes to the Equus. So the Equus, in my opinion, is one of Ark's really underrated creatures because these guys do have a lot of uses. You get their saddle at level 20, but if you find one, you actually don't need a saddle to ride it because that factors in how you tame it. So the way you tame these guys is you need to find one in the wild and you just hop on its back and you feed it berries or veggies. Once you've got an Equus, they're pretty good at gathering berries. They can actually gather quite a lot really quick, especially because they're a really fast creature. But the very special thing with an Equus lies in its hooves. So the Equus can actually hit creatures with its hooves, like it kicks them, and it builds up torpor. So if you get an Equus with really high melee, you can knock out other creatures. Like you could knock out things as easy as trikes or parasaurs, or you could go full hardcore and even knock out Rexes, Brontos, even Gigas. It is completely possible to do that with a really good Equus. And also their saddle doubles as a crafting station like the RJ. So the only real downside with the Equus on the island is that they do spawn pretty rare, and the problem with that is that every single carnivore aggroes to them, so they get killed pretty much as soon as they spawn in. So if you ever do see an Equus and you got veggies on you, make sure you get that thing tamed because you're not going to regret it. Into the top 5 now, kicking us off with the Ankylosaurus. So the Anky is a very good tame. It's incredibly, well, almost ridiculously easy to get. They spawn in the redwoods, the snow biome, and around mountains and other kind of rocky areas, so quite a lot of spawn areas. You get their saddle at level 36, so pretty low level, but the reason why you want these guys is these guys are the best metal gatherers in the game. If you do have an RJ, you definitely want to pick these guys up and just fly them all around to all the big metal areas on the island. And these guys will just automatically harvest it all. It doesn't matter if it exceeds their carry weight, as long as it doesn't completely like fool their inventory and you can't put any more items in. These guys will just keep harvesting, and once you get your hands on one of these guys, you're never gonna struggle to get metal or obsidian ever again, because that's the two primary resources. The Ankylosaurus is best at getting it, so if you're doing a lot of metal building, or if you need some obsidian for whatever reason, you definitely want to get your hands on a very good Anky, because it will just make your life so much easier. Coming in at number 4 is the Doedicurus. So this dude, kind of similar to the Anky, this is your best stone and slate gatherer in the game. You definitely want to try and get a Doedic before an Anky, because stone and slate is way more important early game. Their saddle is unlocked at level 34, so also lower level than the Anky. They do spawn in similar locations, being the redwoods and around mountains and other rocky areas, so they're pretty easy to find. Now there is a bit of a trick to taming these guys. So right, if you're taming a Doedic, you definitely do not want to shoot that shell. Don't shoot it at all. It takes reduced damage, it takes reduced torpor. Ignore the shell, aim for its face, its little legs, and underneath its tail. To be honest, I think the whole tail is okay, but I always try and aim for under the tail anyway, just to be safe. That way you'll be able to knock it out a lot easier, because if you shoot it in the shell, it's not going to do anything. Also, another little heads up, don't even bother trying to trank out one that's injured, because if a Doedic's health gets too low, they'll just ball up and hide in their shell, and you literally can't do anything. They'll take reduced damage, they won't take basically any torpor at all. So you definitely want to try and get a Doedic that's either only a little bit injured or more or less fully healed, which can be pretty difficult, because in the redwoods, basically every carnivore will aggro and attack a Doedic. They're also quite small, so they're kind of hard to find. But once you get one tamed, just like how I mentioned with the Anky and the RJ can also pick up the Doedic and it will auto-harvest rock nodes, so anytime you find some rocks and you need a lot of stone or a lot of slate, just get an RJ, pick a Doedic up, fly around some rocky areas, let the dude harvest it all up. Early on, you definitely want to try and get a Doedic as soon as possible. That's one of the really early resource creatures you want to get your hands on, because the ability to get loads of slate and stone early game is just really good. Coming in at our number 3 spot is the Castarodes, the big giant beaver dude. So you get these guys saddles at level 61, so definitely a lot later in the game, but the beaver is hands down the best wood gatherer in the entire game. You definitely want to try and get these guys at a low level, because fair enough, you don't get the saddle till level 61, but if you just get loads of explorer notes, or even get lucky with drops, you can easily get up to level 61, so it's not going to be that much of a struggle. But as soon as you get a beaver, getting wood is going to be one of the easiest things in the game, and you need wood for so much early game, mid game, and even late game. Wood is just used for so many things. It's one of the most important resources in the games. And also, if you see these guys, make sure you take everything out the beaver dams, because they do make beaver dams, and these things have loads of wood in them, loads of cement and paste, rare mushrooms, rare flowers, so stuff that can kind of be a pain to get, and also just getting some extra wood on the go as well is genuinely really good. Coming in at our number 2 spot is the mammoth. So this big lumbering dude is actually not as hard to tame as he might look. You get the saddle at level 31, so fairly low level, and these guys don't have as high torpor as you'd think, so they're simple to knock out. You just simply tranquilize them until they go to sleep, feed them berries or veggies. Again, I'd advise using veggies anytime you're taming any herbivore, because it just goes so much faster. They spawn obviously in the snow biome only. You usually can find them on their own, but they're usually in groups to maybe 3 to 4 or sometimes even 5. Now the reason you want a mammoth is because they're very good at getting thatch and a little bit of wood, but the main thing they're good at is getting thatch, and again, since they're so easy to tame, you definitely want to get one kind of soon as, because using like thatch, wood and fibre is like your kind of first 3 main things everything that you build is going to need. So getting a mammoth early on is definitely going to help you get further in the game a lot quicker. They're also really good in combat. Mammoths pack quite a bit of a punch, they do a lot of good damage. They also have a unique ability where they'll call out with their trunk, and any other creature in the area that's not like an allied creature or a tamed creature will actually get a debuff, and the creatures will do less damage. So if you paired this with like a Yuri or something, you would also be buffing your own creatures, as well as all other creatures would be doing less damage. So even a battle mammoth would be really useful for like boss fights, or just hunting down like alphas and stuff like that. The number 1 spot once again goes to the moss chops. Now this creature is hands down the most useful creature you're ever gonna tame on any playthrough. These guys are amazing at getting berries, fibre, they can even get a little bit of wood, thatch. You can also prioritize them to choose certain things, so you can get even more prime meat or even fish meat from creatures. They're just so useful. They don't have a saddle, but you can ride them. They're ridiculously easy to tame. You just walk up to them, see what they want to eat, and you can feed them. Sometimes they want things that are a bit more difficult to get, like sometimes they'll want honey or rare mushrooms or rare flour or prime meat, but if you are lucky you could get one that just wants some kind of berry, which is super easy to get. Depending on what your taming is, it could just need one thing to feed it and then it's instantly tamed, and you have one of the best gathering creatures in the entire game. And with that wraps up today's video, top 10 most useful creatures. Now this list is completely personal to me. These are the creatures that I personally think are the top 10 most useful. You probably have a completely different list, and if you do, let me know in the comment section. Tell me what your list, tell me if you agree with my list. Is there any ones you'd maybe swap around, or do you think I'm completely wrong and everything I've said is wrong and my list is completely stupid? If you enjoyed today's video at any point, please remember to whack a like on it, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and please leave comments and share the video. Check out the description for links to all my social medias. As well, if you want to help with the channel a little bit extra, please consider becoming a channel member. Once we actually have some more members, I will actually be able to offer some perks like early access to all the videos, maybe members only content, and I would also one day love to open up an actual Ark server so you guys could play along with me when I'm making my videos and stuff for the actual playthrough stuff. If you are interested in helping that, please consider becoming a member. I hope you all have a lovely, wonderful day, and see you all in the next one.